Looks like we are good to go. Hello and good evening, everyone. This is Kevin Finkel here, and I am joined by...
Griffin AAA. It's nice to be with you guys tonight.
Yeah, so we are going to be streaming a little bit of Frontier tonight. So this is the Untap Open League, which is a free online program, and we do tournaments. So we do standard pairings, weekly pairings, so that you can get some competitive games in. And this is for Frontier, and I believe this is round 5 of season 7.
Is this? I think this might be round 6. You know.
Is this round 6? That might be even more accurate. So
is
this a win and in for our 2 players?
I think this is a win and in for awesomemrj. However, I don't think Diamond can get through on 9 points currently.
Got it. So, yeah, it's probably an important one. Now, we did see Diamond play. I streamed that match, I think, 2 weeks ago. He was on this very decked-out blue-black-green control deck. So, mostly a blue-black control deck, but with that little splash of green. I'll quick go over that real quick here. They've got Creature Base of Scarab God and Torrential Gearhulk as its win cons. All kinds of removal with Fatal Push, Assassin's Trophy, lots of counter spells, Languish, Vraska's Contempt, Dig Through Time to buy back your cards, and then a whole bunch of lands. Pretty straightforward deck. And on the other side, we get the complete opposite side of the format. We've got Atarka Red, a pretty traditional version of it, Monastery Swiftspear, Soulscar Mage, 1 additional 1-drop, and then he's got Chain Whirlers, Hazaret, no other 2 or 3 drops there it looks like, and then just the spells. Well, we see Dragon Fodder as a creature, effectively, and Smuggler's Copter as a creature. Other new addition here is Risk Factor in the main deck as a little bit of a way to buy some more time, and I think in a matchup against a control deck, that's exactly what he's going to be wanting.
Of course. This particular Atarka Red deck, this looks slightly less favored to the control matchup than other ones. You see some slightly more burn-heavy ones, and ones that do not run Hazaret, just tons and tons of burns. So the matchup seems pretty even here. You get some Atarka decks that I definitely favor going into this, but with a slightly higher creature density with the single extra 1-drop, the Hazarets, I fancy this is quite even.
Yeah, the Hazarets, depending on the matchup, they can be a little bit better. If it had Grasp of Darkness, I don't love Hazaret, but this version has Assassin's Trophy, which will not be as good. So he's hoping to be able to pick that up with either these 3 Essence Scatter or these 3 Languish is really his goal there, as well as 3 Vraska's Contempt. So I do think that Diamond Command's deck does have some options here, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to let them know that they can go ahead and start.
So the openers here both look pretty reasonable. Atarka has 1-drop into Prowess Effect, and to potentially Prowess Effect plus 1-drop. And in terms of the control hand, you have Fatal Push on 1 to deal with said 1-drop, some hand disruption on turn 2, and a counter spell potentially.
He does have that hand disruption on turn 2, but he's going to have to take a shock for a fetch for a shock in order to do it. I do think that's probably still worth it. Oh, he disagrees. He's not going for it. I do quite like Thought Erasure on 2 because you can get down before a Smuggler's Copter, which would be very good in this position. That's something new out of the blue-black control decks that's been looking very good for this kind of deck.
Noticeably, if he doesn't fetch, his chance of drawing that 3rd land are a tiny bit higher, so you could potentially take that into account here.
Yeah, I think he still wants to go for the untapped blue on his next turn rather than having to shock for it. So yeah, he's going for the Watery Grave right now, and I think that's a fine play. So here's the other thing about that Thought Erasure last turn, is that it could have let him set up his draw for this turn slightly better. Instead, he's going to do that this turn. He's going to go hoping for that 3rd land, but already a little bit behind, and 3 Languishes is not the best spot, although we don't have the worst cards against it like Smuggler's Copter that can really put him behind.
Yeah, the creature suite at the moment from awesomemrj even, it's really quite weak to Languish. We're not seeing the likes of I know Hazaret does die to it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does die to it.
Smuggler's Copter is the notable thing that he does.
Yeah, Copter is really the one you want to do. The other one that can often, we'll see in those Atarka Red decks, is the Reckless Bushwhacker. Really helps recover from some of the sweepers.
True.
So let's talk about... let's talk about the line that awesomemrj made here on his last turn. He went for land Swiftspear rather than going for land into Dragon Fodder. Now, the only thing I can think here is that he does not, I believe, let me double check here, I do not believe he has any forests in his deck. So no, he does not in this version of the deck.
Since picking up Goblin Chainwhirler, the Atarka Red decks have dropped the one-off forest that they used to have. Which means that sometimes you have to take a turn off to go get that Cinderglade, And notably, this also means that he will get the prowess effects off of the Dragon Fodders anyway, which is actually really important in a matchup like this. You want maximum value from your creatures whilst they are on the board.
Yes, it does. But we did see a little bit of that awkwardness from not having a forest to fetch there, or not just being able to fetch. I could have also seen fetching a second mountain and going for the Dragon Fodder as a perfectly fine play.
Yeah, of course.
So we're seeing him just fire off this Wild Slash. He knows that there's no good targets for it in the deck, so it's going to be 2 damage plus an additional 1 from this prowess trigger. Got Diamond Command down to 13, but not a ton of gas left in Awesome Mr. J's hand. Now, interestingly, Diamond Command did not fire off this second Thought Erasure. He's preferring instead to hold up the ability to hopefully counter something like an Atarka's Command with this Sinister Sabotage in hand. I know he's really worried about that card with this kind of board presence.
Yeah, of note also, Languish actually is one of the few clean answers to a Dragon Fodder in Diamond Commando's deck, because you don't really want to counter it because you lose mana advantage, so to speak. Your counters tend to be 3 mana, countering a 2 mana spell doesn't feel too great. And you can't 1-for-1 remove it because it makes 2 bodies. That's one of the reasons why Dragon Fodder still sees play, is its ability in these control matchups.
Definitely. Now, again, I would say my only worry why I would have liked the line of Thought Erasure is that he really needs to hit that 4th land drop or he's in trouble here. So I would have taken just that extra chance to scry for 1 card. Alright, so he gets paid off anyways. He sees the island on the top, and this is going to lead into a very productive Languish. Really resetting the board here to the point where it'd be anyone's game. He doesn't have an immediate instant speed removal spell, but he should be able to answer whatever kind of follow-up, whether it's this Chain Whirler or it's the Dragon Fodder that we see out of his hand.
Notably, Diamond being down to 6 already, though, leaves him dead to a lot of the draws, potential sequences.
Yeah, and it's effectively 5 if this Chain Whirler resolves, because it does do 1 to each opponent.
Yeah, so you're looking at a really quite high density of burn. We've got Exquisite Firecraft, which deals 4, Stoke the Flames, which deals 4, Lightning Strike, which can deal 3, Target's Command, which deals 3 even if you don't attack, and Hazaret, really hard to deal with once he's on the board. Obviously, we currently have the answer. But
ooh. Well, there's the Atarka's Command. I assume we're going to see the Goblin Chain Whirler here. Yes.
Yeah, Goblin Chain Whirler will deal the 1 and threaten to deal the more, putting lethal on for the follow-up turn.
So now Diamond Command is an awkward spot. I was going to say he's hoping for another land. I'm not sure if he wants to play that, though. I would assume we're going to get this tapped and see another Languish here. Let me also do a quick check, make sure if anyone's listening in to be able to tell us how our volume is.
So that kills off the Goblin Chain Whirler. And that's lethal. That's just game. Monastery Swift Spear.
Yep, Monastery Swift Spear turns into 6 damage with the Atarka's Command here.
Missed lethal. He misses lethal.
Yeah, that would have been a guaranteed lethal. We're going to have some opportunity. Now, if he can get an untapped land and he does the line of Thought Erasure plus Languish, then I think he's in the safe. If he tries to hold up the Sinister Sabotage, then yeah, he would just be in trouble. So
yes, so he needs to Languish here and fetch for a basic, realistically.
Yes, so he does need to make that line, or otherwise he's dead here.
I don't think I would in the dark. Oh, he's going to go for it. So he's not dead, but he's dead to a lot of top decks.
Yes, there are a lot of top decks here that'll kill him. Let me see if I can give him the odds here. So we've got Zergo, we've got any of the burn spells. That's 3 Wild Slash, 3 Tarkus Command, 4 Lightning Strike, a Firecraft, 2 Stoke the Flame. The risk factor was pretty much a rebuy, as well as 4 Ramen Up Runes. All are lethal off of the top here. So let's see what he can draw, and if there's any chance for Diamond Command.
You want to see Mountain here.
Oh,
Wooded Foothills is the same.
All right. No, this is good. This is good. That means we got a continuation of this game. It is not yet over, and with that Scry setting himself up, as well as the Sinister Sabotage, we're in the place where some big things can happen here.
Yeah. So this is one of the few kind of hands that Diamond can have to get him out of a situation like that. Vraska's Contempt will gain him a couple life, put him out of Wild Slash range, put him out of direct burn range. And Sinister Sabotage means he can counter the first of the burn spells.
Yes, this will be very good, because now he'll get out of the range where, up until this Soulscar Mage, ooh, I do not like that.
No, I think you have to gain the life there to really keep yourself alive.
Yeah.
Tries to range with your health, though, which will, of course, buy more time and actually put a clock on.
So yeah, that misplay there is about to cost him because this kill spell is going to be pretty good. He let him untap though, so that actually that's going to save Diamond's life here. He now is able to play this Gear Hulk to flash back some kind of counterspell, and he as well has drawn a negate, which is going to be good.
Yeah. So Mr. J is not going to fire off this burn spell until Diamond taps. Diamond is not going to fire off Gear Hulk until he has something to counter.
Now I think he has lethal. Ooh, he's going to let it keep going back. So the real problem here for Diamond Command is that he is drawing towards a Ramen Up Ruins, which is just going to kill him.
Yeah.
There's really not much that he can do about that to stop it until he is able to gain some life off of this Vraska's Contempt at some point down the road here. So he draws a Chain Whirler, just passing back. So we're going rapid fire here with people passing back and forth, waiting for some kind of action. Risk factor, I think, will change things up. The fact that he can do this on end step is going to be big. We might see something like land, and then he'll go into risk factor, followed by a burn spell to any counter spell, be able to untap with a burn spell in hand.
Yeah. How many lands does he have? He needs another land. So he finds the land, which means that he can, in theory, Gear Hulk and negate in the same turn.
Yes, but that would leave him dead to the 1 point of damage off of this Goblin Chain Whirler here. So it's going to be very interesting. The other question is whether or not he could just let Risk Factor resolve and draw the 2 cards. Or the 3 cards, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 3 cards. So in end step, here's the Risk Factor.
So if he negates and the opponent goes for a burn spell, he'll be able to Gear Hulk, but the problem there is that then he's able to untap with a second burn spell.
Yeah. So this is essentially him being punished for Vraska's Contempting, because he should still have a Sinister Sabotage in hand, which would
put him in a much better spot.
Which would keep him alive here, and I think I'd then fancy him going forwards.
I do also think that letting the Risk Factor resolve might have been forced there. So here we're going to see the Gear Hulk. He'll untap with the Atarka's Command or the Goblin Chain Whirler.
He has the win in a multitude of ways. He just shows him it. And
yeah, he shows the lethal in hand, and we're going to see a concession from Diamond Command here. All right. That was exciting. We had some stabilization there. There were some narrow margins where I think either player could have come back through that game. Well, Diamond Command could have come back in that game. He was kind of on his back foot the whole time.
Yeah, and I think that was Diamond Command losing that through his own plays. I don't think that was him losing it because he simply couldn't draw out of it. I think he was given the tools in which he could have played his way out of that situation.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to see where they go to next. They're shuffling up. Let's take a quick look at the sideboards of both of these decks here. So we talked about the main deck. We're going to start with Diamond Command's control deck here. In addition to what he has main deck, he has 2 Dispel, 2 Duress, 2 Negate, 2 Flaying Tendrils, 2 Unmoored Ego, 2 Kalitas Trader of Get, 1 Dark Petition, 1 Seasons Past, 1 Sphinx of the Final Word. So right out is the Sphinx, the Season Past, Dark Petition, Unmoored Ego. Those are all for control. I like Kalitas a lot.
Yeah, so he has in fact brought in 2 Kalitas and 2 Negate, and he's taking out the 4 Thought Erasures.
He's taking out the Thought Erasures, so that's interesting. When I've played this kind of control deck, I actually do like the Thought Erasures, at least most of them, on the play against Atarka. I found that on the draw, they're not very good because you are not fast enough to get under a Smuggler's Copter, but I think on the play they're strong enough that it's worth it. What I'm surprised about is that Dispel actually hits a lot of cards out of Mr. J's deck, including some very powerful ones. I could also see Duress if he just simply wants a cheaper version of the Thought Erasure. Erasure is also a way for him to get rid of those Hazarets, which could be a problem if one goes down uncontested. Last thing I want to talk is Flaying Tendrils here. You had mentioned you don't like that out of the deck.
No, I do not like Flaying Tendrils at all. So if you think about the creatures that the Atarka Red deck is playing, it's playing 4 1/2 prowesses. It's playing Goblin Chain Whirler and Hazaret. It has Zergo in there, but you're unlikely to see it because it's a one-off.
Yes.
So the 1/2 Presteds, as we mentioned, there's a lot of instance, so they can very easily become 3 toughness if you think there's going to be a sweeper. And it doesn't do anything about either Hazaret or Goblin Chain Whirler.
Agreed.
So
it does take care of Dragon Fodder.
It's just going to do nothing.
Yes, it does take care of Dragon Fodder. I think with 3 copies of Languish, which is on the high side, I agree that they don't make sense in this matchup. They're probably there specifically for something that has either a lot of tokens or has graveyard interaction, something like the rally decks, which you would really want to get rid of them permanently.
Yeah.
But no duress and no dispel I think is interesting, but we'll see. He didn't have that many options that he could take out, I suppose. So we're going to look at Mr. J's deck if they haven't started here yet. He has 1 Scavenger Ground, 1 Natural State, 3 Abrade, 2 Roast, 2 Aether for your Harvester, 2 Charizard's Expertise, 1 Rampaging Ferocidon, and 2 Chandra Torch of Defiance.
Yeah, so I am actually a fan of Aether for your Harvester against the control matchup, although I suspect that he will not bring that in because that's my little tech. Because vehicles are good against sweepers.
There's
a high density of sweepers.
I think that some versions of control, though, they're a risk because they're trying to kill every single creature, which then makes the vehicles into dead cards there. So I'm not sure if I would like bring in more of them. I can't see Charizard's being good enough with no small creatures to grab. Ferocidon, I don't expect a lot of life gain out of Diamond's deck. But I definitely like these Chandras here. I think those are good.
So he is, in fact, bringing in 2 Chandras, and he is going to bring in the Harvesters.
Oh, he's going to bring in the Harvesters. What about the Scavenger Grounds? I assume that's there when he needs an extra land, and it does answer both Scarab God and Torrential Gearhulk, making them a little bit less effective.
Yeah, he has not brought in the Scavenger Grounds. I think this is the matchup where you would have that Scavenger Ground, so I find that a little bit strange. But I would maybe have gone up 1 Harvester and up 1 Scavenger Grounds if you're taking out only 4 cards.
I could see that. So perhaps he's more worried about specific decks where he needs the graveyard removal, things like the dredge decks we've been seeing pop up, and less about just this where it'd be incidental gain.
He's not playing Experimental Frenzy, which is the current sideboard tech that really wants you to have that extra land.
Yeah. All right, we're taking a look a little bit at these opening hands. I see a 7 out of Diamond Command that he is definitely not going to keep. There's just a 1-lander here. And on the other side, we've got a little bit of a slow hand, but I think a powerful one. He's got a Smuggler's Copter, he's got this Dragon Fodder to back up with some creatures, and then this eventual Chandra can be very powerful if it does make a counter.
Player, I'm slamming that every day because you can turn 1 Wild Slash whilst the counter spells are down, turn 2 Smuggler's Copter, and then crew it turn 3 with the Dragon Fodder.
So I'm actually a little surprised that the Wild Slashes are all still in here without anything that's a target. Like if he had something like Jace, I like leaving them in. But as far as value for a card, if you know it's going upstairs, it's one of the lowest value cards you've got in the matchup.
Yeah, when I bring in things like Harvester, I'm generally not a fan of taking out creatures. Because I want to make sure I have the crews if I'm playing 6 vehicles. So taking out creatures to bring in vehicles is brave.
Yeah, he mentioned he brought out the Chain Whirlers, assuming that he's not getting much value off of them. He also said he took out the Zergo, which I think is just it's the 9th most powerful 1-drop he has.
Yeah, but that as total brings him down to...
That will bring him down to 8, 9, 10, and the 4 Dragon Fodder is all he has to crew with 6 vehicles.
6 vehicles, which seems a little low.
Yeah, I'm on the same page here. I agree that that's a little low, and I think we might see some awkwardness there, especially if something like this Dragon Fodder gets countered.
So Diamond's going to mulligan.
Okay, that's expected.
Finds 4 lands, Assassin's Trophy, and the Scarab God.
I'm expecting this to be a keep, but it's not a very good hand.
It's a keep, fetching tapped Overgrown to him turn 1. Or not. The pickup of a 1-drop there, really good. 1-drops with the prowess leading into Smuggler's Copter is generally powerful, as you can trigger prowess, and then you have multiple ways to crew this Smuggler's Copter now on turn 3.
Yeah, that's going to be the optimal hand here for Mr. J. Looks like another land. Did he... Okay, so that's why he probably didn't want to... I was going to say he probably didn't want to fetch on that first turn because he had scried something to the top, but I guess he did not because he drew another land there. Yeah,
probably not. This is the worry when you currently play Assassin's Trophy in your blue-black deck. It really pushes you to play the Shockland mana base, unlike the Grixis variants where you can still play some number of Tango or slow lands, whatever you want to call them, from Battle for Zendikar. So it really becomes a more painful mana base. And whilst that doesn't matter often against Abzan or fellow control decks, it really does matter here.
Okay, so this is what I assume. He's not going to Overgrown Tomb shock the Soulscar Mage. That seems like a bad idea. He's going to just get it in tapped and then be able to Assassin's Trophy this Smuggler's Copter on some kind of follow-up. I still do not like the position. Ooh, especially with another 1-drop here, he'll be able to go into this Swift Spear here, follow it up with the Dragon Fodder.
Yeah, seems pretty powerful. That is a potential swing for 7.
Yeah, it'll only end up being for... Actually, you know what? It's probably going to end up being for 8 damage right here. I bet that if we see this Assassin's Trophy on the Smuggler's Copter, that we're going to fire back with a Wild Slash.
Yeah. By playing Drown Catacomb, notably over a fetch land, he does represent Sinister Sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I want to do that. I think I just want to guarantee myself a tapped Shockland this turn.
And on top of that, there is no follow-up unless we see a Languish here, which I think would be the optimal draw off the top.
If he finds Languish, he's feeling pretty decent about life.
Yeah, he's doing decent, but this Chandra won't be completely unanswered. Alright, so like I said, 2 damage from the Wild Slash, and a total of 6 from the 2 Prowess creatures.
Do you know what does answer a Chandra? The Scarab God.
Oh.
That is not the Languish. What you really wanted to do there was find Languish, turn 5 Scarab God, turn 4 Reanimate something, and really pressure Chandra.
Yeah.
But right now, he's just looking dead.
That will, in fact, be lethal.
Yeah, that's just game. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage.
Yeah, so real quick, second game here, we had a keep of a 4-land hand on 6, and just drew lands out of it, so not much action out of the blue-black-green deck.
Yeah, well, that was good fun.
Little anticlimactic, but I think that was a good matchup for to show on stream here. You know, it's 2 of the more popular decks in the format, even if it has a little bit of a twist on both of these. Yeah,
definitely. Atarka, I think, is the best deck in the format. I think your worst matchups, you're still 50% to win.
I don't know about that. I think it is an attackable deck in the format. I've seen some decks that are just like 80% against Atarka because they're laying out the main deck, Gifted Aetherborns. They've got things like Kolaghan's Command.
I think the Black Eldrazi deck that C2 is a fan of.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
Pretty hard to beat. Other than the Eldrazi deck, there's decks designed to beat Atarka.
Mm-hmm.
That still do not beat Atarka most of the time. It's weird. Like my Esper Humans, I think, is a good example. That deck was designed to be a deck that had a good Atarka matchup and could still out mid-range things like Abzan.
Yes.
And my Atarka matchup is still 50%.
Yeah, I agree. I think that a lot of the decks that used to be the real ones that stomped on Atarka, they had to make a lot of changes when things like this control deck came into play. So things like the White Humans decks, like kind of what you're saying. They're splashing out to have counter spells in order to fight against sweepers from control, and that hurts them a lot against Atarka, where they'd love to just play things like the 3/1 that gets lifelink and becomes a 4/4. Glorybound Initiate, yeah.
Glorybound Initiate turn 2, Thalia's Lieutenant +3 when Inspector turn 3. What a curve.
Something like
that. Get
that.
in for 5 lifelink.
All right, so that's our game for today. We're going to have streaming every week. We'll probably stream, we'll be going to top 8 in Frontier after this. We also have streaming for other Untap leagues. So if you want to watch any more of that, follow here, or you can go to the Untap link below and you'll be able to find the links to leagues to join up, or to follow the other leagues, which are always posted when we've got Twitch streaming there. Thank you for being my caster here, Griffin.
Oh, it was perfectly okay. It was a good way to spend my evening.
Yeah. All right. And you have a great night. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here.